What if Mount & Blade was an open world game? What if instead of going around the world map, you were inside a living and breathing world, building castles and fighting other players? This is a game that the developers have stated how inspired they are by the popular franchise Mount & Blade. Welcome to World of Castles. Now, this game was brought to my attention a couple of weeks ago, and I've kind of been collecting some information over on it to make this video, and it's looking like it's going to be an extremely interesting game. It's going to be coming out sometime in the future. Now, the developers contacted me and stated how that this game had mostly been inspired by Mount & Blade, which I know you guys love. So I thought I might as well cover it on this channel, as I think it needs a lot more attention to it, and I think you might agree with me by the end of this video. So what is in World of Castles? Well, we can see by some of the gameplay at the start, there's fully customizable banners and flags. May you want to fly your house colours above your castle? You can do that. Do you want it on the shields of your men? You can do that. This is a fully customizable sandbox medieval experience. One of the main things that World of Castles is trying to push at the moment is the building mechanics. That is an in-depth castle building editor sort of thing, which is sort of like a creative mode, but then you'll also be able to play in that castle with your troops, and it can be attacked by enemies, or you can go and attack other people's. It's set in a massive open world where it has very powerful editor in order to make your castles. There are so many different building blocks and tools you can use to build your castles, and they all have their own advantages or disadvantages depending on which way you want to look at it. The need to make walls and roofs have a different type of mechanic to it. While a lot of games go for the less realistic because it makes building a lot easier, World of Castles is trying to go for a sort of realistic physics approach. For example, if you're trying to build a roof or you're trying to build certain parts of a wall or an arch, you need realistic building supports in order to keep them up, otherwise they're going to fall down, obviously. So it looks like that this is going to try and delve into a lot of realism along with some more artistic license in their game. Now, like I said before, the things you put in your castle definitely affect your troops and the way you fight your battles. So, the better the castle you have, the better morale your troops will have. For example, if you have a garrison inside a really terrible little castle or just a tiny little fort, the morale is going to be a lot less than if you have a massive castle reaching high into the sky with thick walls and you have a whole village inside it. Your troops are going to want to defend that more. They're going to feel safer inside it. It's going to give them more courage to defend the castle. And of course, if they've got better things there, if they have their homes there, if they have more valuables there, they're going to have better morale and they're going to want to fight for it. They do not want to lose this castle. I think that was a really awesome mechanic that has been added in. Other things like beds and tables, if you put more in your castle or more in your sort of village area, then you're going to have more population in the place. So your garrison is going to be increased depending on the amount of beds and tables you have in your castle. Talking about this castle building, they have stated there will be different game modes. For example, a creative type mode where you can build massive castles, high as the sky, high as you want it to go, as big as you wish. And there's also going to be a sort of, I don't want to say survival type mode because it's not really survival, but where you have limited resources. You have a certain cost on each block, so you have to decide wisely what you want. You obviously won't be able to have massive castles to the start. You're going to have to work up to that. You're going to have to be able to get resources and things like that, and then go to fight with other players against their castles they're building. Obviously, early game, you're going to have worse and worse castles, but as it goes on, the castles are going to progress, become bigger and bigger and bigger. And this is really kind of orientated around your castle, your garrison inside the castle, and then players come and attack it and things like that. So what's going to be in this castle? Is it just going to be empty walls? I'm very happy to announce that no, there's going to be some real interaction and real life inside this world. Citizens inside your fort or castle can interact with each other. They do their jobs that they're set to do, and they want to sustain your castle to the best possible way they can. When you're being attacked by enemies, your citizens will hide in order to preserve their life. NPCs around the world are trying to create this massive living, breathing open world in World of Castles. For example, we see some clip of a fisherman, and it looks like there'll be a lot of other things. Maybe we'll have some lumberjacks, some people going to forage for food, some cart horses trading between castles. Maybe you can set up some trading routes and things like that. But it looks like that not only will this be a multiplayer and co-op game, but it looks like they're trying to incorporate NPCs in there to fill out the world. He does say in the trailer or in the gameplay that they want to put as many NPCs in there, realistically, obviously not too much, to create a living, breathing world in World of Castles. Something really awesome that I saw, and you'll be able to see in the gameplay in the background, is castle destruction. Not only can you build your castles, but you can knock them down, and in the coolest ways possible. Other players can come with trebuchets, catapults, and your castle walls, unless you fortified them well, you're not going to be able to hold them for too long. Trebuchets can hammer at walls. You can see in the clip the boulders going into the side of the wall, bits are getting chipped off. Now obviously, the thicker the wall, the bigger the wall you have, it's going to take a lot longer to be destroyed. But once it is destroyed, people are going to be able to get in. The really awesome thing about this destruction mechanic is you have to watch out where you're garrisoning your troops from a defending point of view. If you're putting them on the wall where it's being destroyed, as soon as that wall goes down, so do your troops. And when your troops go down, you're going to definitely have less of a garrison, so you're even more of a disadvantage, even though they've just knocked down your walls. It's also going to encourage players to sally forth out of the castles. It's going to encourage players to maybe not camp quite as much. For example, if you have a massive army at your gates, you're probably going to want to be encouraged to stay more in your castle. Yes, they might knock it down, but you've still got more of an advantage to win if you've got the castle walls defending you, even if there's a bit of a hole in there. But let's say you have the bigger army, you're defending. In a normal situation, you might just sit there, wait for them to go away because, you know, they can't get in. But if the smaller army outside is battering down your walls, you're not going to want to have to pay for the resources to build those walls back up. You just want to have to get it over and done with. Stop them from battering your walls because it costs resources, it costs money in World of Castles. So you're going to want to sally forth, clear out the enemies, and stop them from doing any more damage. This will also encourage attacking players to focus on weaker points in the wall. The developers said in the video that it will take longer if the wall is thicker. So players are going to have to decide where they attack. It's going to bring in strategy into the game. If they come from the south side, maybe they've got a massive bouldering wall blocking anything from coming past, and it's going to take a long time to destroy. Maybe if they find a good weaker point, they might be able to get certain advantages while attacking this castle. Like I mentioned earlier, the physics of this game are trying to get some sort of realism in there, and this is nothing less in battering down walls. Something really awesome. I think you'll agree with me when you watch this video. The more and more you hit on the wall, the more and more falls off. And finally it gets to the point where you've got the wall so thin it just can't hold anymore. And it will start to slide down. It will start to crumble. Even not when you're battering it anymore. It's just the weight of the wall on top of it. It's so weak that it just crumbles on itself. And this looks absolutely awesome. in castles. There's also screenshots of sort of cogs in the gatehouse and things like that. I'm not sure if they're going to go into any types of basic machinery, but it does look like these cogs and things will be for drawbridges. So you're going to have opening and closing drawbridges in order to let traders, in order to let your army in and out, and citizens and things like that. So that's going to be very awesome. There's also different customization in not just your banners, but of course the officers in your army. These are going to be a core mechanic of the game. They're going to be leading your army into battle, doing different tactics, and of course you're going to be leading them overall. But these marshals are going to really help you win the battle and decide your tactics of the game. So you'll be able to improve your skills, your equipment, or soldiers in the formations, or even simple things just like improving your appearance. All in all, I'm very excited for this game. It has started an Indiegogo campaign, so I'll leave a link in the description if you guys want to check it out even more, or maybe you might want to give a little money to the developers, because this is a very small development team, and of course anyone that's developed a game with a small development team know that it costs a lot of money. If you guys think this deserves it, make sure you go check it out. Me personally, I'm loving the look of this game. World of Castles looks like it is going to be an awesome addition to the medieval gaming genre. So thank you for the developers to bringing this to my attention, and I am very glad that you took a great game like Mount and Blade to inspire you for this, and hopefully it will help you with certain aspects in your game. But other than that, guys, I really hope you enjoyed this video. You know what to do if you did, and if you want to see more things like this, remember to hit that subscribe button. But until then, I will see you in the next one.